The PC-451 and PC-466 Carmi are a pair of 2.0 American subchasers, with the former being in the tech tree and the latter being a premium. The two are different in many ways, but have an overall similar playstyle and armament. For a bit of history on the two, PC-451 was an experimental design launched in 1940. It was assigned to the East Coast during the war, rammed and sank the US tugboat Nancy Moran in 1941, and was eventually decommissioned in 1945. The PC-466 Carmi was a PC-461 class submarine chaser based off the PC-451's design. It was launched in 1942 and was at Tokyo Bay during the Japanese surrender ceremony. In 1956 it was named Carmi and was later sold for scrap in 1960, meaning it only officially had the name Carmi for about 4 of its 18 years of service. In War Thunder, the PC-451 has a single 3-inch cannon, while the PC-466 Carmi has two 3-inch cannons. Both have one gun at the front of the ship, while the Carmi has a second one placed towards the rear. This is a pretty good weapon for its BR, with a high fire rate of 15 RPM, good dispersion, and overall good damage. The 3-inch cannon gets 3 shell types: HE, AP, and HEVT. HE is the go-to shell for damage dealing pretty good damage against most vessel types. The AP is a limited use due to its low damage output, but is vital for fighting armored ships such as the Russian MBK-161s, as it's the only shell that can penetrate their armored belt. Lastly, the HEVT shell is useful against planes, though due to its overall lower HE filler than the HE shell, it can't be used in place of standard HE for damage dealing. Overall, I'd bring mostly HE for dealing damage, some AP for fighting heavily armored ships, and then some HEVT for fighting aircraft. Next comes the secondary cannons. The PC-451 gets 6 20mm Oerlikon cannons split into 2 single mounts and 2 dual mounts. The PC-466 Carmi gets 2 20mm Oerlikon cannons split into 2 single mounts. The 20mm Oerlikon is a great cannon for this BR, working against both aircraft and surface targets effectively. I'd recommend leaving them targeting both automatically, but taking manual control by pressing Alt-2 can be helpful for fighting nearby vessels. This actually provides a higher DPS than the 3-inch cannon on the PC-451 when you can get at least 3 of the guns on target, so at close range it's absolutely worth doing. The 20mm Oerlikon gets 3 belts: default, one with more HE, and one with more AP. I'd just take the universal belt, as the 2-to-1 split of HE and AP provides the best overall damage against all targets. Swapping belts isn't really necessary, and it doesn't really help that much. Lastly, for the weapons of the PC-451 and PC-466 Carmi are some depth charges and depth charge mortars. Even at 2.0 these aren't very useful, as the two subchasers are too slow to use them aggressively. I just leave them off, since they serve as a giant external ammo rack. Speaking of external ammo racks, next is survivability. The PC-451 has 46 crew, while the PC-466 Carmi has 65 crew, giving the Carmi a slight advantage. However, both have the same crippling weakness, a 20-round ready rack right behind the front gun. These have no armor and will instantly kill either ship upon detonation. The Carmi also has a 20-round ready rack behind the back gun, but this one doesn't seem to detonate when shot. While these two ships should be some of the most survivable vessels at their BR, one enemy player knowing this weak point or even just having some bad luck is enough to get them instantly killed. Luckily, not many people seem to know about or use this weak point, making the overall survivability of both ships pretty good. Whether or not this video changes that remains to be seen. Next is mobility. The PC-451 has a top speed of 41 km per hour, while the PC-466 Carmi has a top speed of 37 km per hour. This is roughly in line with ships like the Arbootson 110-foot SC-497. They also have pretty poor turning and acceleration, which is to be expected for their size. Overall, their mobility is fine, but it is on the lower end. For playstyle, both of these ships have a similar role, but with some notable differences. Both can work as brawlers or snipers, though the brawler role is very dependent on if the enemy knows about the exposed ammunition behind the main guns. Getting in close is better for the PC-451 as it has many more 20mm cannons, while the PC-466 does better at longer ranges due to having two 3-inch cannons. They're mostly good against small vessels that they can kill with a few quick hits or a burst of 20mm fire, but struggle against larger vessels that carry more firepower than them. The exposed ready rack ammunition is easily their biggest weakness, though luckily it seems that not many people are aware of it. For the PC-451's modifications, I'd recommend the following order: Toolset, Fire Protection System, Rudder Replacement, 76mm HEVT, Propeller Replacement, Improved Rangefinder, and Engine Maintenance. The PC-466 Carmi comes with all modifications unlocked, along with a talisman. For crew skills, prioritize Leadership, Main Caliber Reload Speed, Crew Interchangeability, Fire Prevention, and Ship Control. As a grinder, I can partially recommend the PC-466 Carmi. It costs 1000 GE and is a relatively easy ship for beginners to use. It has a great lineup, but is also a Tier 1, meaning you can only grind through Tiers 1 and 2 with it. Luckily, the Tier 2 PT-59 is the biggest progress block in the entire US tech tree, meaning the Carmi can easily get past that and grind it to reach destroyers. I'd give it a recommendation for someone who's new to Naval and wants a good lineup to power grind through some of the lower BRs. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Naval content.